Welcome back, fellow ecom nerds. It is Andrew back again with another video, and in today's video what I thought we'd cover is a really important topic, which is copywriting. Now, copywriting pretty much is used in everything to do with e-commerce, from your email marketing to your ads to your product pages to landing pages, pretty much everything. So I think it's a really important topic to cover, and that's what we're going to go through today. So let's dive in. So before we get started on today's topic, I thought we'd go through a few updates that are happening in the next couple of days and next couple of weeks as well, just to keep you all informed. So the first update we've got to cover today is early access to the consultation program. Now, the early access will be closing on the 18th of April 2021, so this Sunday US time. So if you want to get in and get early access, sign up in the link below. Right now, if you sign up on that list, you'll get $80 for an hour for consultation time for life, and after that it's going to go back up to $150 per hour. So if you don't want to miss out on that discount, make sure you're on the early access list. I'm only going to be doing 10 of the calls per month because, as you can imagine, it's going to get quite busy, and if I'm just doing calls all the time, I won't have time to create content and all of that great stuff. So make sure that you're on the list and sign up on the link below if you're interested. So spots are filling up fast as well, so if you have signed up, I will be sending an email this Sunday, again US time, so you can book in your spot, because they are actually going pretty quickly, so which is good news. But if you want to get on, make sure you sign up on the link below. So the next update I've got for you is we're going to be launching Patreon next week. We were supposed to be doing it this week, so it has been delayed, unfortunately. So we'll be launching next Monday US time. It's going to be multiple tiers available, so from $5 to $15, and there's probably a more expensive one that I'm kind of in the works now, trying to figure out what that's going to be about. But it's mainly going to be covering mentorship and one-on-one mentorship or group mentorship. And that one may be a little bit more expensive, and it might be coming a little bit later, but the first two we'll be launching with is the $5 one and the $15 one, and we'll talk about that more in the SEO video that we're going to be releasing on Sunday, which will be the second part to the Shopify SEO series. So all on content SEO, and we'll have a little bit more information on the Patreon account and Patreon launch in there. So appreciate the support, and for all the people that are looking to sign up, I really appreciate it. It just helps me mean that I can actually do more of this, more of content production, and helping you guys out a lot more as well, which is super awesome. So this is what we're going to be covering in today's lesson. Now, copywriting is a massive topic. If I was to do a whole breakdown on copywriting, it would probably take a couple of hours. So I don't want to do that. What I want to do is create like a quick start guide to copywriting to kind of cover the most important parts that are going to get you started really quickly. So we're going to address some of the big problems I see out there when people are doing their copy for ads and landing pages and products, and just to offer some cheat codes as well into copywriting, so you're not always staring at that blank screen, because that is not great. So you want to get started, you want to get writing, and you don't know where to start. So we're going to cover some cheat codes on how to get that up and running. So let's start off with talking about what most copywriters fear. So what's their worst fear? It's usually this. Not a tumbleweed, but a blank screen. So staring at a blank piece of paper can be quite daunting when you're trying to figure out what to write. And what I want to do in today's lesson is kind of go through and show you where you can start to get some inspiration and some starting points to start writing your copy and make it super effective. So we don't want you to be staring at the blank screen forever, because that's not good. So let's talk about how we can quickly get some ideas for our copywriting. So the first thing I want to talk about is an awesome cheat code that I've started to play around with lately when it comes to copywriting, which is to pay AI to write your copy. So there's a few software and platforms out there that can help you write copy, get some ideas, get the juices flowing, and help you start to write some headlines and descriptions and things like that really quickly. So there is Copysmith, there is Conversion AI, and there's AnyWords. So some of these are a little bit more expensive than others. Obviously, Copysmith is probably cheaper than Conversion AI, and some of them work a little bit better than others. So if you're really interested in this, in terms of using these types of software and platforms to create copy, then drop a message in the comments below, and we can do a whole video on comparing these, like which ones are the best ones, and actually using them to write copy, and we can do a whole video on that. So if you're interested, put a message in the comments below and I will create a video on that. So some other tools of the copywriting trade are Grammarly, Hemingway app, Typeform, Google Form, Ulysses app, Online Thesaurus, and Focuswriter. So Grammarly is more around, obviously, grammar and structure. Hemingway app is more around training you to go from passive voice to active voice, and active voice is really important when it comes to copywriting. Typeform and Google Form for collecting market research and voice of customer and customer sentiment and that sort of thing. So the other couple here, Ulysses App and Focuswriter, they're kind of similar in terms of they cut out everything else and they focus you on just writing. So it kind of puts you in the moment. So it kind of shuts down all the other apps that you've got running, so you can just focus on your writing. And obviously Thesaurus is finding better words to use in your copy rather than the ones you might be using. Try to find something that's a little bit more powerful, a little bit more action orientated. So that's always good as well. So these are the tools that I use quite a lot. So while we're on the topic of passive voice versus active voice, I've got a few examples here to kind of illustrate passive versus active. So passive sounds like this: the Mona Lisa was painted by Leonardo da Vinci. And then active sounds like Leonardo da Vinci painted the Mona Lisa. So a little clue is, if you're noticing that you're putting by in a sentence, so the word by, that probably means that you are using a passive voice and you don't want to be doing this. You want to keep things active. And like I said, the Hemingway app does a great job of helping you write really active copy. So I would go and use that app if you struggle with the difference between these two and writing really action-orientated copy. So can't praise the Hemingway app enough. So another really important thing that I want to use when I'm writing copy is the jobs to be done framework. Now, if you've watched a lot of my other videos, you know that I talk about this a lot. Jobs to be done is way more important and way more useful than personas, because just because someone is a certain age, height, whatever their gender is, it doesn't really matter, as opposed to what they're actually trying to do. So all those other things like demographics and location and trying to build a story around a persona doesn't really matter as much as what that person's trying to do with the product that they're looking for. So it's that old adage of people don't want a 1/4 inch drill bit, they want a 1/4 inch hole, because the hole is actually what they're going after. Now, this could be, when it comes to jobs to be done, this could be multiple things that someone's trying to do or why they might be using the product. So you've got to figure out what that is. So you can see here an example of a milkshake or a protein shake. It could be a boredom solution while you're sitting in traffic. It could be a hunger cure because you're actually hungry, or it could be a protein source. So these are all jobs to be done, but they're all different depending on the person and what they're trying to do and the situation that they're in as well. So we want to match these to particular audiences, and we want to make sure that the message is speaking to this audience and the job that they're trying to do. So super important to just remember that as well. And I'm going to highlight this in a little bit more detail in the next slide. So there was a study done a while back on Snickers versus Mars bar, and they used to have these both in the confectionery section. So if you look at them, they're both chocolate bars. They're probably thought of more to be sweets, but they actually do have different jobs to be done. So a Mars bar was more of a treat, something sweet to eat, typical chocolate. And then they found when they talked to people around Snickers that Snickers was actually used more for hunger, or getting rid of hunger. So this was actually not a confectionery bar in people's minds. This was more of something they ate because it had peanuts, it had caramel, it had nougat. They felt it was more of a meal than it was a chocolate bar. So think about this as well. Like, there's different jobs to be done. Even though these look very similar, they actually meet different needs or different jobs. So just remember that when you're writing copy as well, that you want to understand what is it that your customers are trying to get done with your product. What is the end goal that they're looking for, and then trying to write copy around that end goal. And this is why you would have heard of the old adage, benefits, not features. You want to talk about your product's features, but you want to emphasize the benefits, because the benefits relate to that job to be done. Now, benefits should address real problems and how your products solve that problem. So again, it kind of goes back to the whole jobs to be done thing. So make sure that when you're writing copy, you can definitely have your features in there, but then relate that back to an actual benefit of that product. So if it's a fork, which is a really basic product, it helps you eat food. Okay, like that's great, but what is it? It helps cut out your hunger. It's a great tool, so you don't have to get your hands messy when you're eating. So sounds kind of basic, but you just got to think about what is it that the job to be done. What is it that people are trying to get done with your product? And we're going to talk about this a little bit more as we go along. Now, we touched on this a little bit in the jobs to be done section, but we want to match our messaging to our audience. So our audience testing or audience targeting is really important, and we want to make sure that our message is highly relatable to the audience that we're going after. So when you're writing ads, whether they be on Google or Facebook or Pinterest or YouTube, your message should address a specific audience. So you shouldn't be writing something for everyone. It should be highly focused on a particular audience, which is probably more, like I said before, a job to be done, something they're trying to achieve. So if you look at something like the waterproof sneakers for Allbirds, so this is a company that focuses more on, I guess, like high-end sneakers that are made out of things like merino wool and wood, and they're kind of more environmentally friendly and things like that. So if you look at this example, so they're offering waterproof sneakers, but are they for people that are looking for urban, or are they looking for outdoor use? So urban is obviously people walking around the city, and that's way different in terms of the jobs to be done, like what they might need, as compared to someone who's going outdoors and looking to hike or whatever the case might be there. So again, you want to make sure that there's a job to be done, and then you want to kind of talk to that job. So both of these are valid. So both of these are valid jobs to be done. So you want to make sure you have messaging for each one of these. So what you could kind of say is the urban would be like if you're talking about Facebook ads, would be one audience, and the outdoors would be another audience, and then you're going to have copy for each one of those, and an ad for each one of those audience members or jobs to be done. So just think about that as well. And this is why I like to talk about the MAP system. So message, audience, and page. So this is kind of like a flow through that it should be congruent across this whole process. So if you're running a Facebook ad, that Facebook ad should be highly specific to that audience or that audience's job to be done. And that should also be relayed on the landing page. And the landing page is where you have more, I guess, real estate to talk about the job that you're trying to, I guess, solve with your product. So this is a nice little system I like to remember when I'm writing copy and setting up the kind of flow through is the MAP process. So this is just one to remember. Facebook ads need to match an audience, and that audience needs to go to a landing page. So you want to make sure these are all solid, and there shouldn't be any disconnect between these at all. They should be congruent, like I said, throughout the whole process. So just keep that in mind. So MAP. Another technique that I like to talk about is there a common enemy, or the common enemy technique in copywriting. So this isn't essentially a competitor. What this is think of it more as a problem that everyone that you're trying to talk to might have an issue with. So this could be more broad in terms of its laziness. So if it's laziness, are we talking about maybe a health product? So maybe it's for a gym. You might want to talk about the common enemy, which is laziness, and what stops people going to the gym might be laziness. Heartburn could be another one. So that could be for a heartburn solution. Insomnia, tiredness, we could talk about mattresses or pillows, or it could be medicine. It could be a number of different things. Migraine, another one. So these are common things that a lot of people might suffer from. And you want to talk about these if they exist within the jobs to be done, and also the audience that you're targeting. So a common enemy is great because it means it kind of brings everyone together, and it makes it relatable as well. So this is a really good one to use. And this is a good example. This is one from Australia, which is oat milk. And they thought of this thing called Kill Hungry Thirsty, because hungry thirsty is like you don't know whether you're hungry or thirsty. A lot of people related to this because sometimes you don't know whether it's you're hungry or thirsty. Maybe you're a bit of both. So this is aimed around killing hungry, thirsty dead. So oak is a little bit more, it's like a meal and a drink put together, and they kind of married these two things together really well. So think about this as well. This is a common enemy example, and I think it's a really good one. So what else can we use to try and get people to take action? Now, a lot of people are actually more afraid of losing something than they are excited about gaining something. So fear is a massive thing inside of the average human psyche. We're scared of losing more than we are excited about receiving something. So can we use fear in an ethical way? We don't want to kind of be unethical here, but in an ethical way to get someone to take an action. So this could be around, is it scarcity? Do we only have a certain amount of products left? Is there a timing thing where we have to run a discount, but it's only for 30 days? Now you want to make sure that they're not false scarcity or false discounts, in terms of if you're going to run it for 30 days, make sure it's only for 30 days and you don't just keep running that discount over and over and over again. And Scarcity, again, don't make this a fake one. Only use real scarcity. So if you've only got 500 products left, it's okay to call that out, because it actually makes people take action because they're afraid of missing out on getting that product or booking that hotel room or whatever it might be. So fear is a big driver when it comes to copy, and it's something that you can use, but like, again, make sure it's ethical and not unethical. And this is a big one that I see a lot of people kind of drop the ball on a lot, but it's something that actually helps people feel comfortable about purchasing, especially if it's a new product. Because if there's no guarantee of getting their money back if they don't like the product or if it doesn't work for them, then it's probably going to stop them. So it's probably going to be an objection. And what you want to do is break down objections. You don't want to have these standing out where people kind of go, well, I don't want to try this product because what if it doesn't work? What if it breaks? What if it doesn't work in 30 days or breaks down in 30 days? Can I give it back? And I want my money back. So I would say, if you can, that I would say there's probably no excuse not having some sort of risk reversal. So this could be a guarantee. It could be try it for X amount of days. It could be a number of different things, but make sure if you are saying there's going to be a 30-day trial, and then if you don't like it, you give your money back, or if it breaks down, you give the customer the money back, that if that does happen, make sure that you do follow up on this promise, because people will remember when you're being a scumbag and you're actually not fulfilling the promises that you made. So risk reversal is a good one to use, or risk aversion, but just make sure that if you're offering something, if you're promising something to the customer, that you actually back that up and stay true to it. And if it's a money back guarantee, make sure you're giving their money back if they're not happy. So I would say that this is a really good one to get people over the line when they're unsure about whether they should take an action or not. So another great way of getting someone to take an action is free shipping. Anyone in e-commerce knows that free shipping is the bomb. If there's free shipping available, then I'll take it over someone who's probably... So here's a good example, right? I look at 2 different products from 2 different websites. Say that's ASOS and Amazon. Now, Amazon's got free shipping, but the product's a little bit more expensive. ASOS, for this is only an example, have the same product. It's less expensive, but there's no free shipping. I'm probably going to go for free shipping. And it's a weird kind of psychological thing, but free shipping is a massive driver of action, because even if something's cheaper somewhere else, it's almost like the free shipping kind of counteracts that. So if you can offer free shipping, I would highly recommend you do this. And if you can, and you have control of more of the pricing of your products, then factor the shipping as much as you can into the product. So it almost becomes this, even if it's a little bit more expensive, you can offer this free shipping and you're not going to lose anything on the bottom line. So just take this into consideration. If you want to as well, you could do something that, work out where it starts to make sense. So if it's over a $200 spend, then it makes sense to do free shipping because all your margins are met and all of that sort of things, or all your cost of goods kind of work out. So if you can't offer free shipping from a product for just one product, then try and get it to 150 or 200, because the other cool thing about that is it actually makes the person want to purchase more products to get that free shipping level. So if they buy one product and it's $80, but you get free shipping at $100, they're more likely to buy something else to get that free shipping as well. So not only does it kind of make someone take action, but it increases your average order value or basket value as well. So this is a really good one to remember. Free shipping. Try it out on some of your copy if you can. I guarantee you it will do wonders. So try that one. So another piece of advice when you're doing copy and when you're running offers and things, try and ease up on the discounts. If you do too many discounts, it's like the boy who cried wolf. All that's going to happen is that you're just going to keep creating discounts and people are going to get used to discounts, so they're not going to take any action when there's no discounts. They're just going to wait for a discount to come along. So don't go crazy with discounts, and if you're going to offer discounts, maybe offer them in a tiered system, like in, say, your Facebook ads. Don't offer anything up front, then maybe the next offer is free shipping if they don't take action there. So like at the add to cart level and you want to get them to make a purchase, maybe you retarget people who are on add to cart. And then the offer might be get 20% off if you check out today or in the next 24 hours. But don't go nuts with discounts. I used to work for a company that used to run so many discounts that people started to actually search. We saw the keywords, the keyword coming up quite a lot, which was brand name discount, because they were just waiting for discounts to happen. So if you offer too many discounts, you become the discount company, and you don't want to do that, especially if your brand is more luxury or premium. Don't become the discount company. That's not a good look. So just ease up on those. and use them sparingly. I'm not saying don't run discounts, but use them sparingly. Sometimes what I would say is if you can offer a free product, so if it's more like buy two get one free, I think that sometimes works a lot better than discounts, because for some reason, and it's a psychological thing again, that a free offer isn't seen as more of a brand damaging thing as a discount. So discounts kind of cheapen your brand. So just be careful with that, and kind of take it easy on the discounts. Okay, cool. So the other thing I'm going to talk about is how do we start to get some words on the page if we're not going to use AI, and we're going to have to come in and pull this out of our head. How are we going to do this? So a great way to get started I like to do is what we call message mining, which is looking at competitors, or a number of different competitors, which is usually better, and looking at review sites to see, what people are saying about these products. So it's a great way to get voice of customer. It's a great way to understand any objections they're having. It's also a great way to get the voice of the customer in terms of the words they're using, so you can use this to actually write inside your copy. And we'll talk about that in a little bit as well. And word clouds are a great way to do this, because you can kind of chuck everything into a word cloud and kind of see what comes back. So a great one that I like is called Monkeylearn. So Monkeylearn has a great word cloud generator. It's based on AI as well, which I really like. So the thing is here, you'd put as much reviews in here as you can. So I usually break these up into two different sections. So I'd have one word cloud for negative reviews and one for positive. Now, sometimes they kind of come across as or look very much the same, but sometimes they don't. And it's just interesting to see I guess the sentiment between those two, like the negative and the positive. But what's also great is you can pull out a lot of words and sentences that people are using quite frequently. Now, I would say if you're going to go through and do sentiment analysis or message mining through reviews, you can go on things like Amazon.com, where they have a lot of reviews, Trustpilot. If you're in Australia, there's productreviews.com.au. There's many different review sites. And what you want to do is probably find maybe 20 or 30 negative reviews across your competitors and put them in and see what's coming back. And then you can pump it into here and hit generate word cloud, and it will give you an idea of what people are saying. So here you can see, this is for an example we're going to talk about in a little bit, around things that have been, how many times have words been mentioned. So if a word's been mentioned more, it's bigger and more highlighted. So maybe we want to use that more in our copy because people are talking about it more. Simple as that. So the other cool thing they have here is a sentiment analysis tool. So you can put it in here and we can try and see if something is positive. So this is the best sentiment analysis tool ever. Sounds really positive. So if we're writing our copy, we want to make sure it's as positive as possible, where we're trying to make it positive, and negative as possible when we're trying to create maybe something like fear or something like that. So something like don't miss out. Let's see what this says. Saying positive is only 60%. Wonder if it says, are you going to miss out? So this is negative. So this is what we want because we're trying to create fear. But if we're trying to create some sort of happiness, then we want to have something like, this is the best word cloud generator on the market. Positive 95%. So it's not an exact science, but it can just help you when you're writing a copy just to understand a little bit more about how the system feels that your writing is affecting your potential customer. There's also IBM Watson as well, which we'll talk about, and the sentiment analysis tool that they have. So that's another really good one, but I like this one as well. But it's up to you. It's up to you which one you want to try. And again, don't take it for granted. Don't take it as gospel. Take everything with a grain of salt when you're doing this, but it just kind of helps you understand if something is a little bit more positive or more negative, and you want to make sure that your message is coming across in the way that you want it to come across. Now, another thing you want to do when you're looking at the reviews is actually also go in and read them as well. Read as many as you can. I'd say read up to maybe 10 or 20 if you can, and take out some key sentences and the way people talk as well and how they speak, because the reason why you want to do this is because it's creating relatability to your customer and to that segment. So whoever it is who's written the review, have a look at how they've written something. Is there words that keep coming up frequently or sentences that your customers or potential customers might be using? Because you might want to use these turns of phrase or the way that they're actually writing sentences or the way or the words they use in the copy that you're writing. So again, this will dial up the relatability between you, your product, and the customer by kind of using the customer voice, which is really important. So again, you can get a lot of reviews from Trustpilot, Amazon. Also, like I said, in Australia, there's productreviews.com.au, and I'm sure there's a few in the UK as well if you're a UK viewer. So go in and have a look at these. This is where you want to do some mining and also just read some of the reviews as well. Now, another really good thing, going back onto the reviews and testimonials in the copy, is to use positive testimonials and reviews in your ads and on your landing pages as well. So they should be everywhere. It should be on your ads, it should be on your landing pages, should be under your product descriptions. If you've got some really good testimonials and reviews from people, from customers, make sure they're verified where you can as well. And there's some great tools that you can use to collect reviews. There's reviews.io, there's Stamped, there's a few other ones, but make sure that there are verified purchases, and make sure you use these in your copy for your products, for your Facebook ads, and for your landing pages, because these are really powerful. It just kind of builds up that trust with your community when people can see that there's a lot of people that have used your product and really like it. So when it comes to copywriting, you is a magic word. People love to hear the word you because it is talking directly to them. So you want to use you as many times as you can in your copy where it makes sense. Obviously, you don't just start peppering it in there, just trying to jam it in. You want to make sure that instead of using I or your company, like a lot of companies talk a lot about themselves, you should be talking about the customer, because the customer doesn't really care about your company. They care about how your company is going to help them. So use the word you, your, and your as much as possible, and make sure you don't screw up the usage of you and your, your and your, because I used to do that quite a lot. And just make sure that using something like Grammarly to go through and do final checks before you publish anything, because that will help you with that as well. Something else that I don't see a lot of people do, especially in Shopify, because it's a little bit trickier, and especially if you don't have any kind of coding or you're not really good at HTML and CSS, is creating specific landing pages for your products. Now, I'm not talking about collection pages or product pages. I'm talking about specific landing pages where you can have more real estate to talk about why your product's so good, and even break it up into features and benefits. And this is where you really want to sell your product. So I would say that, if you're selling something like, let's say a mattress, for instance, you want to talk about all the features on your mattress. You want to have people move down the page and then have a feature for each one. So the way where I would use this is obviously for ads is a big one. If I'm doing Facebook ads, Google ads, YouTube ads, whatever it might be, and I'm pushing someone to a landing page, that landing page should be engineered to convince someone to buy. And it should be building up trust, and there should be a whole flow on that. Now, we're going to do a whole video on creating landing pages later on, but a really good one that I find, it's a little bit pricey in terms of, I think it's around $40 a month, is Shogun, and it's a plugin or an app for Shopify, and you can actually drag and drop these things in, these elements in, and create really cool landing pages. And you can also do things like A/B split testing as well. If there's different copy you want to try, different images you want to try to see which one converts better. So I think this is a really cool one if you want to create landing pages in Shopify and you don't know how to do HTML and CSS, but I really think it's super important to have landing pages, especially for ads, if you're directing stuff through ads. So we're going to talk a little bit more about creating landing pages later on in a future video, but just remember that if you want to create some landing pages, then Shogun is a really good option for you. And one of my favorite copywriting books of all time is Cashvertising by Drew Eric Whitman. I really like this book. I've had this for I think about 15 years now, so it's kind of showing my age. But it's one of the first books I read when I got into copywriting, and it really holds up even to today. There's some things in there more about mailing and running sales letters and things like that, which really don't count as much today, but could be used in things like in emails and sales emails. But I think the principles and psychological principles just kind of carry on even to today and can be easily applied to the modern internet age and obviously online selling. So Cashvertising, a great book. I recommend this. You can get it from Amazon. I don't know how much it is now, but I just go and check it out. Go onto Amazon, have a look, or your favorite book retailer, and I'm sure you can pick up a copy there. There's also a really good book. It's probably the Bible for copywriters, which is Breakthrough Advertising by Eugene Schwartz. It's really hard to get hold of. I've got a copy of it. It's like one of my prized possessions, but that's for a little bit more advanced people who are more advanced copywriters, I think, because if you were just getting started, it's probably going to be a bit confusing. Even I kind of, when I read it the first couple of times, it really stuffed with my brain a little bit. But once you get more practice in copywriting, it's another really good book. And I'll talk about that and some of the principles that I've learned from Breakthrough Advertising a little bit later, probably in another video as well. But this is a really good book to get started. And if you want to get started in copywriting, go and get yourself a copy of this. Now, if you're lazy and you don't want to get the book, then here's some call outs that I've got for you from the book that is kind of mentioned that I think are really important to boost your sales through copywriting. Now, these are: forget style. A lot of people get too carried away with trying to be clever with their sentences and headlines and things like that. Just make it simple. Forget the style, sell instead. Make it super easy for the customer to understand what your product is, what it does, and why they should buy it. And if you can put a few little clever things here and there, but don't get too clever, because that's where people get confused, and it doesn't make you look smart, and it doesn't sell products either. So just be wary of that. Keep your sentences short and snappy. So especially if you're writing Facebook ads and for e-commerce, I know that in other industries, writing longer form copy does help, but I think for e-commerce that short, sharp copy works really well for Facebook ads. And landing page is kind of similar as well. You can go into a little bit more detail, but I would say that you want to keep your sentences short. And again, use short, simple words as well. You're not writing for someone who's at PhD level. You're not writing a novel. You're not Charles Dickens. So what you want to do is keep things super short and simple. Use words that are probably around the 6th grade level. So anyone who's just before, even maybe entering high school at that level, that level of English, that's what you should be using. Simple words, because you don't want to make things hard, and you just want to make your message as clear as it can be. Boil it down is the next one. Cut out the fluff. People kind of waffle on and on and on in copywriting. Just make sure that after you've written it, write it once, and then look at it really hard and say, okay, what words can I cut out of here to make it shorter and shorter and shorter, and just keep doing that until you come up with something that's really sharp and cuts straight to the point. Pile on the benefits. We talked about this. Stop using more feature. It should be more benefits. So feature, and then what is the benefit to the customer, and that helps them get the job done. And that should be reiterated through every feature that you mention. Show, don't tell. So this is a great thing around Facebook ads and that sort of thing, where you can actually have breakdown of your shots and videos and things like that. That should also help sell your product. So you don't always have to talk about it. You can also show it as well. But I think copy is still really important to overlay in that. And copywriting does apply to video as well, and how you write your videos and how to sequence your videos. So copywriting isn't just written word, it's also video as well. Another really important one: get personal. You. So, or your. We mentioned this before. So personalization, talking directly to the customer and how your product helps them, is what they really care about. They don't care about your company, how old it is, when it was founded, who the founders are. They just want to know how it helps them. That's it. Keep it simple. Keep it focused on the customer. If you're doing a landing page, keep using subheadings. Subheadings work really well to break up the copy, because sometimes if there's like a wall of copy, it can become a little bit too intimidating, and the customer might just decide to bounce off the page. So keep it super easy for them to digest, and the best way to do this is subheadings and images, and even video as well. If you can kind of slot some video into the landing page, works really well. Where you can't use images or video, make sure you're writing really powerful visual adjectives. So words that actually stimulate some sort of mental movie or mental picture, and use that as much as possible. So maybe you want your customer to understand how they might feel once they have your product in their hands, and how it's going to help them solve their problem. And you want to kind of make them picture that. So you want to have words that actually help them picture those things. Again, always include testimonials. That one's a given. So if you've got some really good reviews, make sure you're using those in your copy or all over your page as well. Show me the money. Ask for the sale. A lot of people don't ask for the sale, so they don't have a call to action at the end. It's strange, but people kind of need to know to take an action. So there's all should, and I'm not talking about click here. I'm talking about, say something like there could be a button where it's like, act today, or get this now, whatever it might be. It could be a pricing, it could be something, but just make sure there's some sort of call to action that gets someone to take an action and go to the next step. So don't be afraid to ask for the sale, which a lot of people seem to forget. And as I mentioned before, if you have an offer, make sure you set a deadline and time limit. So you don't want to go beyond this. So if it goes for a month and it's a 30% off, and you don't feel you've had enough people kind of take up that offer, don't drag it out, because it just makes you look like an idiot. Cut it off. So if there's 30 days, that's it. 30 days for that offer, cut it off and then maybe create a new offer if you want to do that. But don't keep dragging it out. Make sure that there's a deadline set, there's a time limit, and you've kind of mentioned it as many times as you can in the ad because you want someone to take action. So last thing we're going to do is put all this into action, and we're going to take an example that I've just found off the internet. It might not be the best example, but we're just going to roll with it and see what I can come up with. So there is a company called Open Farm, and they do dog food, but it's actually kind of a high grade dog food. So they call it human grade. And having a dog myself, something I'm passionate about, so I thought this would be a good one to kind of dive into. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to look at Open Farm. We're going to take one of their products, which is their grass-fed beef product. We're going to do some competitor analysis on SEMrush really quickly. We're going to do a word cloud, and there's going to be a whole bunch of here's stuff I prepared earlier, just so we can kind of move this along. We're going to create the perfect map messaging audience page. I'm probably going to create more of messages around this just to give you an example. We're going to talk about writing the copy and just some sentiment check as well. So we'll do a little sentiment check on some of the things that we've come up with using some of the tools I've mentioned before. So let's have a look. So example case study, this is them. Open Farm, and they're really big on sustainability and also providing human grade meat for your animals. So I wanted to really kind of dig into this messaging and the job that someone's trying to do to solve the job to be done kind of framework. The other thing I want to do is look at competitors. Now, because there's not that many direct to customer or D2C, direct to customer, so D2C businesses in this space. I tried to find a few, but there's not a lot, and I think depending on which country you're in as well, they might be different for different countries. So when you're in something like SEMrush, which we're going to do a whole thing on competitor analysis for SEMrush soon in our SEO series, then you want to make sure you're in the right country, number one, and then you also want to see that if it's offering you what it thinks are competitors, that they actually are competitors. So you want to do kind of a sanity check on that as well. So you can see here that Open Farm is far and away the best. So competitors in the D2C space, maybe it's not as big as, say, if it was like B2B or something like that. But anyway, so positioning, not much we learned from here, but depending on the product, this might be way more useful when we do competitor analysis. So I went in and I used Monkeylearn to find some stuff around positive reviews that people are talking about. There's daily feeding size came up a lot. Ziwi, which was another product that I looked at that's quite similar that we feed our dog here. You can see a whole bunch of here, vet diet, these big words coming up, food. Sodium is another one that came up, so low in sodium is obviously a good thing, low in salt, because salt can cause heart issues. There's loss of interest, based on competitors. So I read this review and they were talking about how the dog kind of lost interest in competitors' food, but this one, on the positive side, they loved it. So this is why when you do these word clouds, it's also good to go and read some of the reviews as well to kind of get a better idea of what the customer is talking about. Because sometimes you'll see these things and you'll think it's actually a bad thing, but it's actually they're mentioning something else that is probably positive. So this is a positive one. I also did a negative one as well. So you can see here expiration date, glycerin. So we're looking at chemicals that are in food. Customer service was bad because I looked at some of those. Industrial glycerin, again, glycerin not good. You can see that coming up again and again. So a lot of stuff in here. Precious puppy, chemical. So you can see chemical and food. So also money is price sensitive, but I think a lot of people who love their dogs don't care about spending a lot of money if the product is good. So I wanted to go in after doing this and have a look at maybe the jobs to be done based on the reviews that I've read and looking at some of the word cloud stuff as well. So this is what I did, and I came up with this because even though you might think that the jobs to be done is actually for the dog, so in other words, the dog gets hungry and the outcome is, well, the dog wants to eat. The dog will pretty much eat anything. Dogs don't care. They'll eat out of the garbage bin. But that doesn't mean that a dog should eat everything, because some things are actually really bad for them. So what I realized is, by doing this research, is the expected outcome is for the owner. The owner wants to feel like they've done a good thing for their dog. The owner wants that self-satisfaction that they're a responsible pet owner or dog owner. So this is what I did in my jobs to be done study. It was, when my dog is hungry, I want to give them healthy food. Notice on the healthy, and then so I feel like a responsible owner. And this is what I want to come across in the copy when I'm writing it. So I didn't go in and do all the landing pages and stuff because that would take forever, but I just wanted to come up with some key messaging to show you quickly how you can use copywriting to use to take the stuff out of the jobs to be done framework that you've done and turn it into actionable copy. So if I was going to do this as a map, or a message and audience and landing page, I would do my Facebook ad, which would be the copy stuff, and then I'd be focusing on pet lovers, so people that are really, really passionate about their pets. Environmentalists, because this company is big on sustainability and planting trees for every product sold and things like that. So I want to mention that because I think these people overlap a little bit. And obviously engaged shopper or engaged shoppers in terms of behavior, you want to make sure that Facebook's looking for people that have bought off Facebook before. So you want to overlay engaged shoppers over your other interests. Then landing page, obviously you want greater food, responsible, healthy, happy, and so you want a healthy, happy dog. You want to talk about that a lot on the landing page, and the greater food and why yours stands out, because your food grade is for humans and not just for dogs. But so in other words, if you wouldn't eat it, you shouldn't give it to your dog. That's what I kind of want to get across. And then obviously the environment is just that extra thing I put in for the sustainability, which matches the audience. So here's how I would create a map, and obviously I haven't done that from scratch because it would take forever, but that's what I kind of came up with. Now, when I'm looking at copy, these are some of the things I mentioned, going back to wanting the person to feel like they're a responsible dog owner, which is the jobs to be done. Here's a few things I wanted to call out. So because we know you only want the best for your dog, so that could be a headline. The number one choice for dog lovers. Again, if you're a dog lover, that goes, I'm a dog lover. Maybe I should be buying this for my dog. Human grade meat. So this could be more of a feature and benefit. So human grade meat, that's the feature, and the benefit is, or the call out is, if you didn't know it was dog food, we bet you'd love it too. Which could be a cheeky way of saying that it's something that you would eat yourself. And then I kind of wanted to reiterate that next one, which is, if you wouldn't eat it, your dog shouldn't either, which is a bit more punchy, I think, as well. So, and again, it's coming across as saying that this is the highest grade dog food available, that a human could go and eat it, and that it's suitable for humans. So if it's suitable for humans, it should be way suitable for dogs, and that dog's going to be much happier and healthier. And another one I've got here is grass fed, which is another it's another feature. And again, just to call out, it's just like the steak in your fridge. So again, harping on that human grade meat, I guess, approach to jobs to be done. Again, going back to the fact that we want them to feel like they're a responsible owner, and that if they give them this food, then the dog's going to feel good, and it's going to be really healthy for them. Another little call out or a little tagline is like, we say no to GMO. It's packed with superfoods for super healthy pups or super healthy dogs. It's another one. And then obviously for the environmental side, we've got one tree planted for every product sold. We love the environment as much as you love your pup. So all this is hinged or tied to that jobs to be done, which is, we want people whose jobs to be done is to feel like they're a responsible dog owner and love their dog, and they want to feel like their dog is going to be super healthy and they're responsible for that. That's what we want to call out with this copy. So the next thing we want to do is just check for sentiment and make sure, or at least use some kind of benchmarks to see if what we've written or some of these will actually meet the criteria. So let's go in and have a look at the tone analyzer from IBM Watson first to see what comes out. Let's run it through there. Let's go and have a look. So here I've got Tone Analyzer open. So what I want to do is I just use email message. It doesn't really matter because this is a demo. So you can actually, I'll put this in the link. I'll put this in the description below so you can go check it out. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in just one of these. Let's see. Let's start with this one. I'm just going to analyze. Let's see what it comes up with. So it's saying analytical, so it's not bad, but it means it might be a little bit too cold, and we might want to run this through our sentiment analysis tool in Monkeylearn as well and see if that comes up with anything different. So again, we just want to make sure we've only got the one sentence. So again, it's not. So the sentiment analysis is not great on this one. So even though it kind of sounded good, it's not really like, according to this, hitting the mark. So what else could be used? Maybe let's try the number one for dog lovers. Let's see what this says. So 61, a little bit better. Still not fantastic, but okay, it's getting a little bit better. So let's dump this into here. So just to reiterate, these tools use AI to kind of come up with these scores. So although they're not 100% accurate, they are still somewhat of a benchmark, so you can kind of see how you're doing. So here, this one's not too bad. Okay, so compared to both, we've got joy and analytical, but there's some joy in there, which is good. Do we have something else in here that one of these other ones that might be good? Let's try it. Okay, so we say let's try this one. We say no to GMO. All right, let's try this. All right, that's a lot better. So confidence positive, way better. So let's see if the tone analyzer from Watson is similar. Oops, I'm in the wrong part, I think. Let's see. Oh, yeah, there we are. Let's see if this is any better. Okay, there's joy. Okay, cool. So I think this is a good one. This might be a good one to run with. I'm not saying that the other ones are bad, but it's just like in terms of this sentiment that we're trying to get from this particular copy, some of it may not be as upbeat as others. And for whatever reason, we may not be wanting it to be upbeat. Maybe we do want it to be a bit negative because we're trying to use that fear factor that we talked about. So let's try again for this. This one's not too bad either. We'll run it through Watson again. Let's have a look. Joy, analytical. So again, not bad. So these two are pretty good. So the human grade meat one, so we could probably use something like if you didn't know it was dog food, we bet you'd love it too. So that could be a good one to use for a positive kind of spin. This probably would be a bit more of a negative. It's not a fear, but it's probably something that kind of plays a little bit more into the negative space. Yeah, so that works good. That actually matches kind of the sentiment I was going for. Let's see if this picks it up as well. So it's saying analytical. Okay. So again, more of a benchmark and to be taken with a grain of salt. The only good way to test every one of these headlines or call-outs would be to run tests. So going back to that Shogun example, we'd have a landing page. We might want to do A/B tests. We could do A/B tests inside Facebook as well for Facebook ads. So that's the best way to check out which ones are actually working, which ones aren't. But these are kind of more of a benchmark. Again, take them with a grain of salt. But there might be some you want to try over others, depending on the sentiment you're trying to get out of it. So that's pretty much it for today's video. Hopefully it was helpful, and you shouldn't be afraid of copywriting because a lot of people do think that, oh, I'm not good at writing, so I can't be a copywriter. It's more about selling. So the old adage is a copywriter is more like a salesman behind a typewriter, or in today's terms, more like a salesman behind a computer. So try and keep your conversation or your writing more conversational, I should say. So it's okay to use things that maybe a different grammar structure that you wouldn't use in traditional content, where you can say but after a full stop or and after a full stop. Try and make it sound like the way you speak. And probably the one great tip that I have for you is invest in something you can record your voice on. Everyone's got a phone, you can do that. And I would say write your copy, then read it out aloud and see how it sounds. If it sounds a bit disjointed or a little bit clunky, then it's probably not going to make great copy. But so you want to kind of get it to a point where you could easily make it sound like a conversation, where when you start reading it out, it sounds like you're speaking to someone. So that's the biggest tip I've got for you. But apart from that, that's pretty much it today. I'm going to leave a whole bunch of stuff in the description below, so you can go and check out all the tools that we mentioned. Also have a look at the book that we mentioned as well, Cashvertising. I recommend going and check that out. And also, if you're interested and you're you do get stuck a lot on the blank page, and there's all those AI platforms for copywriting that I recommend you go and check out. A lot of them have free trials, so there's no harm done in just going in and playing around with it and see if it helps you for no other reason than to kickstart your copywriting off, because I think that's where a lot of people get stuck. It's not so much once you've started, you can usually make a good run of it, but it's just getting the first foot in front of you that is a bit tricky. So the AI software can definitely help you with that. And as I mentioned before, if you're interested in me doing a whole video on comparing those AI things, just drop a comment below and we can do a whole video on that. But apart from that, that is it. I am going to have the whole SEO video out for part 2 for Shopify SEO on Sunday. So make sure you keep an eye out for that one. It's going to be really good. It's all going to be on content SEO. So apart from that, that is it for today. Make sure you keep loving e-commerce, and I will see you on Sunday. Until then, catch you later.